Before I get into this review, this will be the last one before I take my laptop to get the keyboard fixed and take some time off, meaning the Owl House review will have to be held over for next year. I'm sorry if you were expecting that right now. Okay, on with the Christmas headache, which also contains sexual material and offensive language. Merry Christmas, snitches! I'm the Animaniac, and I give to you last year's headache, Santa Inc. Created by Alexandra Rushfield, it focuses on an elf named Candy Smalls working her way up to becoming Santa's successor when his other one bailed on him to work at Amazon. But she finds there are quite a few roadblocks and disturbing secrets along the way. More on all of that later. Before I get into this, I noticed a good chunk of you have been very naughty, watching my videos and not subscribing to the channel. So if you really enjoy them and want to be the first to know when a new one will be up, be sure to ring that bell after you subscribe. My next goal is 500 subscribers, and only you can help me get there. And if you'd like to see these videos early, subscribe to me on Rumble. Link is in the description and pinned comment below. This one will be one of the videos I'll do on a piece of media that's gotten an astonishing amount of backlash. The levels that need at least a year to let the dust settle before assessing the damage. And man, did Santa Inc. suffer incredible backlash. The trailer was dislike bombed, and this was one of the last videos before YouTube hid the dislikes on them, unless you have a browser add-on to bring them back. The last time I saw the trailer, it had over 100,000 dislikes. And of all the people who clapped back at these haters, it was Seth Rogen, the voice of Santa, who proceeded to call those who didn't like the show white supremacists on Twitter. This was around the same time he tweeted his dismissiveness towards someone who had their car broken into as well. Though he had a point considering the comments on earlier uploads of the trailer, he didn't help this situation. At least Silverman was smart enough to stay quiet. That was just for the trailer. When the show came out, its Rotten Tomatoes audience score was 4%. There wasn't a critical score. I imagine when it dropped, critics didn't touch it for these reasons. If they said it looked good, they would lose what credibility they thought they had left. If they thought it looked bad, it would affect their connections in entertainment. And it has an IMDb score of 1.6 out of 10. Is it justified? I'll take a look. Beginning with what they use to make us laugh. Pop culture references and various off-color material. I was able to spot a handful of references in this show. In the first episode, Candy says that more people believe in Christmas than the Holocaust and COVID vaccines. That has to be the only time I've mentioned COVID on this channel. That's also a sad line, and Santa agrees with me. Later in the show, when the successor is about to be announced, there's a panel on a news show where they discuss the candidates for the new Santa. One of the panelists is a girl named Helga Bunberg, an allusion to Greta Thunberg, the teenage girl from Sweden who chewed out world leaders on climate change. Helga, in her appearance, reveals she frequently calls people Nazis and attacks one of the other folks on the panel. And this act is cheered on by those watching. Am I supposed to laugh at the stupidity of this? Or am I supposed to join them in cheering her on? Well, I'm not going to do the latter. And the last reference of note is Jeremy, Candy's lazy assistant, getting a text saying Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, no relation to Junie and Carmen. Anyways, it said she got cancelled.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
But it was actually code during an operation to meet up somewhere. More on that later. And the show's off-color humor is mainly cursing and a variety of sexual material. The range of curse words are as follows.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
And make sure the reptiles, sweet American Jesus. Come on, guys. It's Christmas fucking Eve. There's no time for amateur hour here.
Easter? Fuck that stupid bunny.
Beings of Santa Inc. It is I, Jingle Jim. Shut up, you worthless assholes.
Mayday? What the fuck is Mayday? Because it's Santa Inc. The state of the workshop is strong as a reindeer's petrified shit.
Gotta get intimate with that jolly bitch.
I forgot my wedding ring at home, so technically I am back on the market. Ding ding, dicks ahoy!
Yes, bitch, because it's empowering to call you bitch.
And everyone does it very casually, which can have a negative effect on big moments that involve cursing. I'll come back to that later. The range of sexual material in Santa Inc. is mentioning genitalia, whether it be for jokes or on their own, to emphasize an emotion like betrayal.
He fucked us dry, folks. I'm just gonna say it. The warning would have been lube, but he withheld that. So, we are all chafed this morning.
Or showing full-on nudity. Some of them are character traits, an aspect of a relationship that's really sad, or they just have an empty existence. And these types of humor are meant to contrast against the show's stop-motion animation, reminiscent of the Rankin Bass specials. This isn't shocking anymore because now there's a massive market for adult cartoons. You can find innocent-looking styles being perverted for the amusement of adults, like on Fox, Adult Swim, and the internet. It doesn't feel special. A Seth Rogen production with a similar style, which was more successful, was the 2016 movie Sausage Party, simply because the market for adult theatrical animated movies in the West wasn't very prominent at that point. There wasn't a big enough market. Now to see if the story has enough interesting stuff in it to overlook how unfunny it is. I will be looking into a lot here, so spoilers ahead if you still want to watch this. When the old successor Trent suddenly accepted a job at Amazon on Christmas Eve, Candy wants to take the position so that she can be the first female elf, as the other have been old white men, something she considers a problem. Candy Smalls is a high-ranking executive at Santa Inc. She knows almost every crevice of the company, how everything works, which helps to keep Christmas deliveries running smoothly. This is a quality not a lot of people appreciate about her. More on that in a mo. She's notable for being a female elf in a high-ranking position, and also being Jewish, though I think that's unnecessary. As previously stated, this show treats the fact that Santa, being a fat white man, as a problem that needs to change.
The point is, Candy, Santa Inc. is a diverse place, but the position of Santa has mostly been a white man's game.
Exactly, it's fucking crazy. Things have gotta change.
These lines are from the trailer and in the first episode. Also in the same episode, the current Santa's old successor was a skinny black man, so you can say he was taking steps towards change. And at the very end, when she pitches herself as the new successor, he's holding a hair shaving party. She's told she can stay, but leaves after the barber makes some stupid comments about female anatomy.
Sir, when you hired me, you knew I wasn't trained for vaginas. I don't want to be sued if I slip up and make her infertile. The baby needs the hair to stay warm.
This wasn't the first time someone made comments like that around her.
What if she thinks she's handing out candy canes and they turn out to be some fucking tampons?
What if her boobies get caught in the chimney?
Or even worse, what if she falls in love with the slave?
And apparently the former is what convinced her of how terrible the current structure is, justifying her need for change. But it's not a good enough justification. A TV show also has to convince the audience as well, and so far, this isn't good enough. In a very socially and politically intense time, I don't think attacking Christmas was a good idea. If the people who wrote this think Christmas is overrepresented, why not prop up other holidays instead of trying to tear this one down? I think the last major piece of Hanukkah media was Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights, and that sucked. That fact alone emphasizes that movie's destructive impact to the Jews' holiday. Candy is not the only one being considered for the position, so she does what she can to increase her odds. As I run through these people, I'll also go through how Candy took them on. Beginning with Junior, the head reindeer of the A-Team, and what I'm guessing is the son of Rudolph. He's very cocky and has a prejudice against elf women for a reason so stupid it has to be funny. Candy's mother turned him down for another elf. I told you it was dumb. His attitude towards Candy and her friends naturally get under their skin. This continues with Mrs. Small's little girl on a trip to the South Pole with Santa and the board. Candy needs to impress them after her performance at the State of the Workshop address failed to do so. After Junior gains the upper hand one day and Candy loses her cool, she not only bounces back, but gets the reindeer in the public doghouse by getting herself hit in the face with his golf club. Despite the fact that this was an accident, this ruined his reputation and chances at becoming a successor. Not even becoming a follower of God could help him recover. In that same episode, Santa knew she faked getting hit to make Junior look bad and praised her for the underhanded tactic. More on that later. These next two she takes out in the same night. First is Timmy the Toy Guy, the man who came up with a lot of toy ideas. This big deal who made such fun toys is very dull and pale-faced. His reveal is a very predictable joke, and his speeches go on and on, boring the listeners. On Santa's birthday, he presents to him a diorama of his life. It even moves. Now, during Candy's roast of him, she points out the diorama is designed like a swastika when viewed from the top down. Timmy genuinely didn't notice that before unknowingly doing the Nazi salute as he's being removed. And the part about him being a white supremacist is hammered home again during an interview with probably the whitest Indian I've ever seen. Are there Indians like this out there? I would like to know. He would call what she holds dear made up, rubbing her the wrong way. And Larson is the manager of the candy factory where Cookie works. Apparently he fires pregnant women, which she was at one point, with fun size. Cookie has complained to him about the lack of rights the workers have. He didn't do anything about it. This will come back up later. The thing that Candy exposed to the world at Santa's birthday was his affair with a pair of twins. This makes his wife slap him before leaving. He denied the sexual harassment and assault allegations along with the affair. As he attempts to deny the accusations, he throws up trying to say Eleanor Roosevelt is sexy, and accidentally stabs his wife in the eye with a fondue fork. So, another one bites the dust. Candy did well tearing down the competition. Her friends and family are noticing how Candy's pursuit of the position is changing her and rubbing them the wrong way. Goldie is a reindeer and a member of the B team, a lineup of substitutes in case anyone from the A team is unable to work, which never happens. This will be important for later. By the way, everyone on the A team is male while everyone on the B team is female. A little something to add to the misogyny narrative in the show. She's also sexually promiscuous and is very open about it. And Cookie is a candy factory worker and new mother who finds it very stressful to balance. She even has trouble staying awake. This causes an accident at the factory. The man she had her kid fun-size with, Craig, she often treats poorly, insulting him, and he grumbles about how much he hates her, and doesn't trust him to look after their child by himself, so much that she puts tons of trackers in the little guy. I'd find that little side plot funnier if it devoted more time and I knew more about Craig as a person, and that's all we learn about him in this show. I think we're at the point where the neurotic, nagging wife, foolish husband dynamic has been played out. Like, what else can you do with this trope? The approach to this makes the jokes predictable so they aren't fun to watch. By the way, the strange thing about this couple, in spite of how poorly Cookie treats Craig, she actually thinks this is healthy. I imagine that's supposed to be funny. Candy's friends aren't the only ones that are sour about her chase. There's also her mother, Big Candy, her brother Tony, and her granddad. I don't remember his name. Her mother is a widow who acts terrible to her, along with trying to present herself to other people and occasionally stripping naked. Her brother Tony writes the majority of his songs around sex, and later gets on board his granddad's plight for more retirement benefits. I don't have a lot to say about him. And her granddad is a retired coal miner, something her dad was before his death, and that comes up later as he doesn't get enough benefits for his work, and is also sexually active as he proclaims in the first episode, along with this.
If I die, get rid of my porn!
He said earlier that he's a vibrant sexual creature, so why would he want someone to get rid of his porn? I guess he does care about how his family thinks of him, regardless of his previous statements. Now, what are the specific reasons they are mad at Candy? Her friends are upset with her because her chase has taken time away from them and they don't like how selfish she's become. And that justifies the result, which will come later. Candy is working on becoming the next Santa with goals to help out her friends. And also, shouldn't they be more supportive of Candy? It was their idea for her to chase that position. They should have known this will take time away from them. This makes them come off as short-sighted. Now, Candy's family is mad at her for cutting their speech about the treatment of retired coal miners at Santa's birthday short. While they made it clear to her what they were going to do beforehand, she did tell them to wait until after the big festivities to crash the party. Also, her mother was angry at her for acting like a snake. Here is a scene from the Easter Island episode where Candy's mother explains to her what she needs to do to reach the top.
Your dad was sweet, just like you, but it did not get him far in his career in the coal mines. I don't want you to make the same mistake. See the snakes in the grass, Candy. Then you become a snake yourself.
She told her to be ruthless in her pursuit, and then she has the nerve to disown her for doing so. These moments are meant to be massive, you messed up, Candy Smalls bits. But her friends and family were annoying and uninteresting characters, and at this moment they come off as stupid and selfish, putting sympathy onto Candy. Now she's hoping these headaches are worth it when Thanksgiving comes around for Santa's successor announcement. And his successor is Candy's intern, Devin. This version of Santa is focused on building his legacy as one of the greatest. His way of doing it? What some people do these days to show they're good. Virtue signal by way of making his successor unlike him. First a black man in Brent, and a female Jewish elf in Candy. But those won't be the only criteria he'll base his decision on, as I'll explain later. Keeping with the style of the show, Santa is as foul-mouthed as he is big and hearty. His choice, Devin, is a fat, blonde college student who works as Candy's intern. He gives her help in the chase, sometimes giving tons of exposition.
Cardinal Stryker, Mayor Foster, Frederick Arthur, the CEO of North Pole Enterprises. They're the real power. Santa may run the company, but they get the final word over every major decision. Santa and the board are all male and all white. Their average age is 67 because they're all 67. They play golf, drink, smoke cigars, say things like deregulation and quarterly earnings and don't ever marry your mistress.
While working, two things happen to him. The first one is bonding with Santa through sharing an alma mater and fraternity. These moments between the two are neat. And there's his relationship with Goldie. He develops feelings for her after the time she was on crystal meth and was bumping and grinding on him. She rejects him at first, seeing she wants someone with a career, not a college student like him. I'd say she dodged a bullet in that moment, but he's pretty persistent in his pursuit of her. They do start dating, and it seems like they enjoy each other. And whenever he felt down during this time, she does comfort him. That's all I could get from these two, and that seems to be it, based on how well the show was received. In fact, it was him wanting to be in a relationship with her that made him aspire to do something better. A little factoid that kept the rift between Candy and Goldie strong.
I feel like this is my fault.
Yeah, it is, dumb fuck.
Oops.
No, you just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And this version of Mrs. Claus is a pretty miserable wife. From what I've seen, she's unfulfilled sexually and emotionally, and sees herself without an identity outside of Mrs. Claus. Her first name is Leonard because her dad really wanted a boy instead of a girl. I can't decide which is sadder. That, or their sex life where she just lies on her stomach reading a book while he stuffs her like a roast beast. She isn't fazed by what he did, by the way. He doesn't make himself bitter by laughing at his wife's bedroom requests. He only does so when she shouts at him about it. Santa's duties have left her so neglected that she began an affair with a local bartender. She runs off to his bar after Santa announces Devin as his successor. However, that relationship doesn't amount to anything, as she would come back to Santa with the setup of them eventually dealing with her walking out on him. Was there any way the writers knew how the show would be received? So they got across the sympathy, yet it amounted to nothing. Now, after the announcement was made, Santa called Candy into the courtyard to explain why he chose Devin. He says he noticed how she was with some children while he was in the hospital after suffering sepsis from his thigh implants blowing out. He noticed how she was uncomfortable with the children as they piled on top of her. In his eyes, a Santa needs to be good with children. She has the know-how in making Christmas go off without a hitch, and the ambition, but not the warmth. and Santa believes being good with children can't be taught. But since Devon lacks the intelligence required when Santa is done in by nature, he offers Candy a position to run things in the shadows and can one day implement her ideas for change while Devon is the public face. Santa made a wise decision regarding his successor, and his offer to Candy is a good one, especially for her. I wonder what her answer will be.
Go fuck yourself.
Oh. This scene would have been more impactful in the right way if every character wasn't casually cursing before this moment. BoJack Horseman was smart to reserve fuck for one time every season and to keep it for when BJ messed up big time with someone in his life. And her turning him down makes her look dumb and short-sighted. The only reason I can think of for this is because they fell short of the episode order and they need something to fill up that time. So what did they do? Well, sometime after she got thrown in jail for stealing the sleigh and subsequently being fired, she gathers the workers together to stage a walkout on Christmas Eve, along with tampering with the Christmas bars the A-Team are given, so they won't be ready to go. Those things are laced with crystal meth, and those guys spend January detoxing in rehab every year. This walkout is so the workers can get more benefits like larger pensions and maternity leave. Candy achieves this by threatening to expose the naughty things Santa has done, like accept bribes and stock investment tips from rich kids who want presents from him, and using titanium in his thigh implants he got from the Middle East. So Santa agrees to their demands, Candy gets her old job back with leverage over the jolly old man in gay apparel. Things seem to be good for Candy, until the season ends on Junior's dead body on the side of a road sometime after she hit him and left him for dead. And then his nose lights up. They're expecting to be renewed for another season! The way they approached this story at its foundation made it obnoxious. Perhaps the Prejudice story would have had a better chance of being accepted by the public if Candy was being discriminated against for being an elf, not being a woman and Jewish on top of that. Santa Inc.'s level of quality is pretty close to the hatred it had. Its stop motion is okay, its off-color humor is lazy, the references are cringe, the humor is overall very unfunny, the majority of the characters are annoying, unlikable, and uninteresting, and the writers try very hard but fail to make the story work the way it is. Now, a few months after the Backlash, Santa Inc. was pulled from HBO Max, and up until now, it was never mentioned again. I imagine the removal was part of the preparation for the merger with Discovery Plus. I would like to check out the other shows they dumped sometime in a similar format to the Spunkothon. If you guys enjoyed the video, gift it a like and comment your own thoughts on the show and or the controversy that surrounded it. If you guys would like to stay updated on future videos, be sure to follow me on Getter, Facebook, Tumblr, and DeviantArt. The links are in the description. And if you want to be the first to know when a new video will be up, ring that bell after you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the new year. I will, as I send my laptop off to get the keyboard fixed. And once I get it back, it's back to making videos.